Hey, I told you I'd make it back. Here I am again, sitting out on our deck here at mine and Carolyn's house, getting back to my story. Um, sometimes you don't like to leave people hanging and say, "What happened next?" So um, I'll always tell you what what happened next. And so, uh, like I said, I saw this place and it was really nice. I went and knocked on the door, and this older German lady came to the door and "Was ist los?" she said, and I didn't know what "Was ist los" meant. And it means in so many, what's going on, in English. And I was trying to explain to her, and they called apartments Zimmers back those. And I had picked up a few words from people in the company, and I said Zimmer, and she said, "Ah, yeah, Zimmer, Zimmer," and she said, "Bitte, please, just hold up," is what she was trying to say. So she went and got her niece or granddaughter. I can't remember exactly which it was, but she could speak English, and I began to talk to her, so I began to tell her that I was interested in the apartment, and she said that the couple's name was Schoffel. The last name was Anna and Herman Schoffel. Herman's a pretty good prominent name for German men, and Anna, so Anna and Schoffel, Sitfonts. Uh, I will get to know them later, but these folks' last name was Schoffel, and so she was saying, well, they live upstairs, and they have this apartment downstairs, so they would be living above you. There's a separate entrance for the upstairs, and then a separate entrance for the downstairs. I said, cool. I walked in that apartment. And I said, oh Lord, this is a beautiful place. And to my mind, it said, you cannot afford this. And so I didn't repeat that out, even though I had that in mind. I had to get it out of my mind quick because I was tired of. First of all, I was tired of looking, and I know that when your steps is ordered of the Lord, I know now when your steps is ordered of the Lord, then He has the very best for you. He doesn't bring you mediocre things. He doesn't bring you lesser things. He has the greater things for you. I want you to always remember that. That's because He loves you so much. The message that I'm talking to get across to you is that love is the principal thing. And that's what's missing in our world now. Like I said, we got all these people saying, my rights are, and I was done wrong, and I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled to that. All they're doing, and they're saying really, and they don't know, is that I need love. Somebody love me. Somebody love me. So I love you enough to tell you my story. Is there other things that's going on in my life and business wise? I have two businesses. Actually, I have three. And people, again, like I said in the first video, said you talk so slow sometimes, Tim. And you didn't know that I was also a licensed auctioneer, did you? You said, well, those guys talk real fast and you talk real slow. Well, when I need to talk fast, I can talk fast when doing stuff like that. But the reason I talk slow is that I want you to hear it, I want you to feel it, I want you to absorb it, and I want you to be part of it. When I talk slow, I think sometimes we can talk too fast, and then when your mind's trying to work, trying to calculate it, trying to get it in and observe it and everything, is that you're always talking too fast. So I always try to talk slow enough so that you can understand what I'm saying. Anyhow, I was talking to this young woman, uh, and come to find out her last name was Sitfront, and I'll tell you how that came about, and that was really a neat thing too. So anyhow, I talked to him, and I said to her, I said, well, how much does it cost? Was es cost? Then Zimmer, and how much did it cost for this? And she said it was $125 a month. Well, you're saying right now, you said, man, that's nothing, $125 a month. But it is a lot, and when you don't make but a couple $100 a month, that's more than half. That's more than half of what your income is happening. And so God knew that I needed more income. because I couldn't work a second job because I was in the military. You know, you can't have two jobs. You got where maybe if you want to work on a weekend and, you know, some places you could do that, but, you know, you couldn't really work a second job. So the Lord knew that we were going to need additional finances. He loves us, remember I said? He protects us and he provides for us. Now he loves us enough to set the plan in motion for us. He protected me in getting to this point and will continue to protect me and has protected me all these years. And then he's going to make provisions for us. I want you to understand those three things. Remember, it's threes. I talk about threes all the time. Love, protection, provisions. He has those for you. I mean, to the max. I mean, to beyond mind-blowing thought. If you really get down and understand about being covenant, being in the love covenant, being in his family and coming out of him, you know. And so anyhow, I began to 125 a month, and I kind of shook my head, and I said, I told her, I said, that's too much. I can't pay that. That's more than half of my income right now. And she said, and then she said to me, "Oh, you're in the military, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm in the military." And she said, "Oh, okay." So she said something to her grandma, and you know, we're talking all that German. To me, sometimes it's like spitting, you know, the way it's more of a gutter sound when you talk, you know, and you know. But anyhow, it's a beautiful language in itself, and having understanding about that was really a good thing to have as we go on with the story. So she said something to Anna, and Anna just kind of did her head down like, no, no, I can't do that. That's what I was thinking that she was saying. Then, and then all of a sudden she raised her head up and said, "Yeah, that's is," and she said this is that is okay. And I thought, what did that mean? That's okay. And that's not okay. I didn't say I was going to pay $125 a month for this place, you know. And then the young girl came back to me and said that her grandma said that that's okay, that they would take less. That's what she meant. And I said, okay, how much less? You know, we're talking about. She said, well, it would be 100 American dollars, which would be 300 centimes, you know, 300 centimes being the ratio that it was. So I was always praying that the ratio of money would always be high, because if not, it was high, then the dollar would be less, you know, over there. And sure enough, it you know, it stayed pretty current. It's pretty well stable the whole time I was in Germany. Carol and I were in Germany. So it's just like it went off inside of me, and also, but my mind said, that is half of what that's half what you're gonna make it, and that's half of what you're making. How are you gonna make it? And but then my heart said, and it come up in my spirit, says, take it. And I said, okay. I said, I'll take it. And she said, okay. So I explained to her that my wife was fixing to come over and that we were newlywed, and she said, well, congratulations, you know, she was able to speak the English words, said that's great and everything, and so, okay, done deal. And so Carolyn was supposed to come, you see, that was May when we was married, and she was supposed to come over, that was May, and then mid-May that I left to come to Germany, that she was coming over in June. Yeah, in June. And so we were separated about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, which was already too long. I knew I didn't want to be without her over there. And so I was making all these arrangements. And I told my company commander what was all up, and he said, "Well, you did good, you know, because it's hard to find a place to live, and especially someplace nice and so forth and so on." So I thought, well, this would be a good little love apartment for Carol and I, a good little honeymoon thing, in a beautiful part of the town and everything. So see, God was setting those things up, but I had to make the steps. God is setting up this story of love for you, but you take the right steps to get you in position, to get you in place where you can get the blessings from that. You can get that perfect marriage. You can get that perfect wife or perfect husband. You can get that perfect life because He's always working to make it good for you. Never withholding anything from you. The withholding comes from us. We withhold ourselves and don't want to believe that God has these good things for us. And then on top of it, when we start having problems and things start happening in our life, that even drives that deeper inside of you. Said, this is the way my life's going to be. It's not going to be better. I can't experience those things. And then you start settling for things that are lesser than what God has intended for you to have. So, this apartment was a very good visual for me to see, that I felt like this is where we should be, because it being nice, it being in the part of town, and it'd be a place that Carolyn would enjoy, and we weren't really used to experience having a place to live like that, to start off like that, and so I was so excited about it. I told my company commander about it, and he said, well, you were really, he didn't say blessed, but you were really lucky. He said lucky. And see, there's no such thing as luck. There's no such things as accidents. These are processes and things that happen. So you start speaking what you want to happen in your life. And it's pretty simple, but it's I don't know why it seems to be so hard sometimes. But anyhow, I secured the apartment, and I had sent things home. I had sent message home to Carolyn. This is what I want you to do. I want you to get ready because you're coming over here, be with me. Of course, she was excited. I could hear her hollering on the phone. I'm fixing to go. I could hear her talking. I'm fixing to go. It's Tim's calling me. He wants me over there. I got to go. I said, well, okay, just, settle down in a sense. So get your mind together, what you need to put together and what you need to bring. And what had happened, I had already made arrangements with my company commander to be off a couple of days to pick up my wife. And then I had went to the finance office in those areas said I'm fixing to have one of my dependents come over. My wife's going to come over, and she was actually considered a dependent of mine, even though I was in the military, and the military owned me. So Carolyn was getting ready to come over, and I had gotten all that lined up and everything. But one thing I forgot: how am I going to pick her up from the airport? I ain't had no car. I said, what am I going to do? So I was living in the barracks at that time on post where I was working and everything. So I had taken all my stuff, and now I'd take it to our little apartment that we had. And so I got to spend some nights there before Carolyn come over, and it was such a peaceful place. I knew God had arranged this for us. And I know even more now that I knew God was working for me, for our lives, but didn't realize as much as I do realize now. And that's why I said I want you to gain all this insight and knowledge that I have about this, so your life can be that way too. I mean, what a great life to have, what a great life to experience, And so anyhow, I lived in the apartment for a while and tried to get a few groceries. I really didn't know what we all needed. Just I guess we thought we could just live on love and and all that, but you do have to have food, you do have to have clothes, you do have to have the other necessities, and God was providing for it. And so I then all of a sudden it dawned on me, I don't have a car. How am I going to pick Carolyn up? So I was back at the apartment during the evening, and Miss Schoeffel came down with Herman, her husband. They came in and they were trying to talk to me. I had bought a little English Dutch dictionary. I'd put it on my arm, and I walked there and I tried to find the word and say, this what it means, and try to say it in Dutch, and trying to converse with them best I could. And I could see it on their face. They would say, and this guy can't talk the language and everything. So he asked me the question, was about them Frau? You know, what's happening with your wife? The Frau was the wife. Now, the Fräulein means girl, but Frau was the wife. And what's happening with what's going on with your Frau? And I said, she's coming into the Flugenhagen. Flugenhagen was the name of the airport. It was the name of what's the name of airports there? Flugenhagen. I guess that kind of is fly, whatever, but Flugenhagen. And he said, oh yeah, that's is good, you know, that's is good. The this is good, you know. And so I said, yeah, and he said something to me that I didn't understand. He said, talked about the Flugenhagen to the Volkswagen, the people's wagon, to the car. What he was trying to tell me about the car, and I said, nix car, nix Volkswagen, you know, Volkswagen means the people's transportation or people's car. He said, no. I said, no. And he said, oh yeah. And I thought, what is he trying to say to me? And he said, and so that evening, the young girl come over, and I was trying to think of her name, and I will as we go along, because she was a real instrument in our life as well, and I'll tell you the other stories about that too. Young teenage girl, probably not much younger than my wife was, and Carolyn was 17. And anyhow, she was there and had come in, and man, it seemed like at the right time. And he said, yeah, the Volkswagen, you know, to the Flugenhagen, you know. And she said, oh, Mr. Tim, she called me Mr. Tim back then too. Mr. Tim, he said that he would carry you to the airport to pick up your Frau, pick up your wife. And I said, oh, praise God. I didn't know how I could catch the bus. I was going to have to catch the bus to the Flugenhagen or to the airport, pick up Carolyn, and ride the bus back. I mean, we were going to have to ride the bus as enough as it was before we got an automobile. And so I was so happy about that, and I just thanked him. I said, thank you. That's okay. You know, everything's all right. You know, they were doing better than I was trying to speak some English. I was trying to speak Dutch, you know. And Carol had a lot of fun with that too, and I'll tell you those stories. But anyhow, he said, you know, he did like this, you know. He wanted to know what time, and he wanted to know what date. And I told the young girl, and she said, well, he got to pick up his wife, Frau, his wife. He got to pick her up at the airport. The plane's supposed to come in 4 o'clock that day, and said, alles okay, alles good. So God had made a way for me to pick up Carolyn. I mean, I was going to get her anyhow. I was going to go by the bus if I had to, or walk or whatever, but didn't have to. God made an arrangement where we could do it. And so here I am in this Volkswagen Beetle that they had, and so here I was riding with strangers, and they look back and they'd smile at me, and I'd smile at them, and everything. And so and all this time Carolyn is getting ready to come, you know, or is on her way coming now, and she was to land at the airport there in Frankfurt, Germany. And so that's where we were supposed to pick her up. It was a good little piece, I guess, 50, 60 miles from Kaiserslautern, K-Town. They called it K-Town. Some people didn't want to say Kaiserslautern, so they just took the first letter K and then town, K-Town. And so we were close to Frankfurt, and the plane was going to come in there and land there. Well, at that time, see, there was still a wall there. It was a Berlin Wall type deal. It was a wall from the east and west, you know, and there was still, the wall hadn't come down. See, the wall didn't come down until later on when President Reagan was in office. That's when the wall came down. And so can you imagine Carolyn coming in on this plane landing at the airport, and they got concertina wires, or you've seen those at prison, those round wires with sharp edges on them. They got Constantine wire everywhere, and you had to walk. You had to be sure that you landed on the right side, because then you had to walk through all these wires and hear all these guys with weapons and all that. So I can imagine what was going through Carolyn's mind, getting off the plane. And so, I mean, she was a brave soul to come all that way, by herself. Uh, but it's something about when you have a love for someone, and you know that you need to be with them, then those things, those fears, or maybe some fears are there, but you're, and that's what you gotta let love. You gotta let love override the fears that you have in life. Love is that steps, is ordered steps in your life that God has put in place. So I can imagine how she felt. Actually, she said she'd sat on a plane with a young woman coming over, had a young baby, so she helped her. So Carolyn was always doing that. She was always looking out for other people. And so I was so anxious to get Carolyn there and everything. And we were already at the airport, and the chauffeurs were smiling at me and said, were telling me, all is okay, all is okay, all is good, all is good. It's good, yeah, good. I said, yeah, good, yeah. Yeah, it's good. Because I'm going to have my baby with me soon. So I could see the plane come in, and it would land. I could see people getting off, and it's like, in my mind said, she might not have made the flight. And I said, no. And so Carolyn was probably next to the last few people that got off. And so she was dragging this big old suitcase. I mean, the suitcase was bigger than Carolyn. And at that time, Carolyn probably weighed about 125 pounds, and I imagine the suitcase weighed that much. And so she was dragging it. Didn't have suitcases with the wheels on it like they do now. And so here she was dragging it. She was holding it and dragging it, and I could see her, but I couldn't go to her because she had to come through the control area and had to, go through the checkpoint area there because you had to be very careful, because if you got on the wrong side, then you would never see them again, So she got through, and she's dragging this suitcase, and she was so excited she could see me, and she was waving and hollering, and everything. And so she finally got through the checkpoint and everything. She was so excited. I was so excited to see her. I'm sorry. So I made a beeline as fast as I could, her, trying to help her with that suitcase, and I grabbed it, and I thought to myself, good Lord, what she got in here? She got another person in there, So we got the suitcase, and I think that maybe she had one other bag or something, and we got it, and we got to and she said, well, how are we going to get to, I said, I got us a beautiful place, and, oh, I'm so excited to see it. How are we going to get there? How did you make it here? And I said, our landlord, the people that we're renting the space from, brought me, and she said, oh, that's so wonderful. And so Carolyn, she's a hugger, and so she hugged Anna and Herman, and hugged them up, and thank you. Carolyn was always thanking people, and always loving on people, and and all of a sudden I could see it come over them. They were so excited to have Carolyn there. And I thought, where are we going to put this suitcase? We're in a Volkswagen, in the front of the car is a trunk, and this suitcase wasn't going to fit. The one bag fit in there, and I got this big bag, and I looked at Herman. I called him Robert too. I said, Robert, where are we going to do this? Yeah, Herman, Robert, Schoeffels. And so I said, I didn't like the word Herman because it said too much that it was German, but I called him Robert. And so Robert said, all is okay. I thought, he's always saying that. And sure enough, it was okay. So he had a rack on top of the Volkswagen here. We had this big suitcase, and he got it tied down. And here Carol and I are in the car, hugging and embracing and kissing, and just melting back into each other like it's supposed to be, And Robert and Shuffle, and Anna would kind of look back a little bit now and then, and then they started saying some German tunes. We didn't know the words of it. It was great. And then over there, you know, the morals in Germany and in Europe was a lot looser than it was in the United States. I think the United States maybe is catching up with some of those countries and everything. So we were going down the road, and so all of a sudden Robert stopped on the side of the road, and he got out in front of the car, and he was using the bathroom out there. He was standing up using the bathroom. Carolyn said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Don't look, don't look. He's using the bathroom." "Using the bathroom right here on the side of the road?" I said, "Yeah, you'll see all kinds of weird stuff here. So just kind of put your blinders on and look forward to us getting to our house." So anyhow, I don't know why I told you that, but I thought that was kind of weird. And Anna looked at it and smiled, and it's all it's okay, all it's okay. Like, "Do y'all want to use the restroom?" "No, I think we'll wait till we get home." My eyes are probably floating about that time, but I was not gonna stand on the side of the road and use the bathroom. So it kind of reminds me of a story I'll tell you later. But anyhow, we got to our apartment, and oh God, Carolyn was so excited. Like, our honeymoon is continuing on, because now here we are in Europe. We're gonna have a year or so honeymoon in Europe and be able to do things. And so she was so excited. Got to the apartment, and it was really nice. I wish I could really explain to you how nice it was. It was. It had. It only had about 4 rooms, I guess, or 3 rooms. It had a nice big bedroom, and it had a nice kind of a living room area, um, dining area in one, and then it had a nice kitchen. And so I was hoping that Carolyn knew how to cook all the thing, but she didn't. So it's something she learned along the way. And so here we are in this beautiful apartment and everything, and Carolyn, she was opening all the windows and everything, and so she could see out. And this bed we had was a big old bed with them big old down covers on it. It's like you lay in and you sink out of sight, and these big beautiful covers over you. And so it was great to have my wife there and to be able to spend our first night again together in our new place. And so we really God had really done us well. And I began to talk to her and tell her about what had happened, how I got the apartment and everything. She was excited. She was always wanting to talk to how Carolyn is. She's always wanting to talk to people. And, people said, "Carolyn, if somebody stands still long enough, you talk to them." And that's kind of, she was that way when she was a young girl too. So you can imagine what was going through Carolyn's mind, or maybe you can't imagine, but she was excited. Never been anywhere before. Out of some places out of the United States, but never into another country like that. So she was just kind of in heaven, so to speak, and so was I, having Carolyn there with me. And then I began to realize more how much I loved her and how much I wanted her to be there, and how much, and the time that we spend together and do great things in Germany, and have so much fun being with each other. So and the first night was great, being back together, and living in our nice apartment. And like I said, I began to talk to her that night as well, about where we were financially, and what, and she said, "Well, how much are we paying for the apartment?" And most of the time Carol didn't ask me questions about money, and she didn't do that much throughout our life. She knew that I was going to be frugal with it. She was with it too, and that we would do real well. So I began to talk to her, and I said, "Well, it's expensive to live here because we don't have enough time in the service to live in military quarters, so we're going to live here." She said, "Well, okay, I know that you'll take care of us." And I said, "Yeah, it's going to cost us half our pay." And she said, "Half our pay?" I said, "Yeah." And at that time, like I said, half our pay was $100. And it was a good thing I made rank again because I got a little bit of raise, you know, and so that was helping a little bit too. But you know what? We didn't really worry about that and didn't really consider that so much that it took away from our time together and being together. And so I wanted to kind of end our video right here now and too, and then I'll pick up with it later. But you know, when you're in love with someone, and especially the covenant that we had with each other, there's everything can be worked out, everything can be taken care of, everything can be seen through, and you can develop a good time together and a good life together, and that's what we were going to have, regardless of what some circumstances would seem to bring to us. So I'm going to say to you what Carolyn always says, and I hope this gets down in your spirit as well, that we are eternal, and we'll talk to you soon, and we love you, and God loves you. Be right back, okay?